ran to be mayor because I didn't like the direction our community was going. And I wanted to shift this community in a different direction. And that goes on a bunch of different things, from social services, but also our budget. What a lot of the public may not realize is that back in the oil and gas industry, my job, and I got paid very handsomely for it, was to look at numbers and make predictive guesses as to what those numbers meant. Now, in oil and gas, it was trigonomic functions. So I would look at a bunch of data sets and then determine from those data sets what we should do based on what I was expecting. And so I approach budget very similar to that. I look at the numbers, I see what they're saying, and then I try and communicate that with the public and with my fellow councillors. And I was the only person who voted against the budget last year. And I did so because I believed it was further kicking the can down another year. Here we are that year, and sure enough, the can has rolled up on us. We are looking at an 8% tax increase at this present moment. Everyone, I wouldn't say everyone, there are a lot of people who are unsure of why I am pro tax cuts, but also pro staff. Nuanced positions are often difficult to explain in sound bites on social media, and are even harder to explain in a 30-second phone call that I often get while someone is, right? What's important to understand is that you can be both. Cobourg is a growing community, and we need to staff up to provide the level of service and the quality of service that's required for our community, on one hand. On the other hand, we can't just go on a hiring blitz and hire everyone. We need to slowly grow into a position. And this is very similar to a corporate entity. As you're growing from a $10 million to a $50 million corporation, you slowly have to add to your payroll so that you can handle the responsibilities of your corporation. And that goes very similar for Cobourg. We are a growing community. Just this year alone, we've added 4.3% of our housing stock. 4.3% of housing stock we increased in just 1 year. Next year will probably be over 5%. So you can see within the next 4 years of Cobourg, we could easily be in an 18 to 20% growth model. That's a large growth in a small urban center. So what does that mean budget-wise? It means we are growing, which means sometimes we have to spend more than we're bringing in at the moment. But it also means we have to start making difficult decisions, and we have to start saving from the future. One of my favorite slides from the budget this year was looking at the previous term and the 4 years, how their tax raises actually was a tax reduction of almost 8%, because inflation increased at a much higher rate than our tax raises did for the previous council. So we were already 7 or 8% behind the 8 ball. But in the previous term of council, we also hired 13, 14, or 15 positions. So we had a tax decrease, we hired a bunch of positions, and we took on a bunch of capital projects. I'm not saying anything ill about the previous council. I'm just stating that that's what happened. So in this council, we kind of have to pay the piper. And that was kind of my message last term, last budget cycle. It was like, guys, what the best bet would be to raise the taxes high in year 1, so that in year 2, 3, and 4, it's a much more gradual increase.